a confession to make. I, for several years, built a business around this idea of building confidence. And I don't think I really understood what that meant, because at the time I thought confidence was about physical appearance. I thought it was about your smile. I thought it was about presence, tone of voice, decisiveness. I thought it was about all those things. And I thought that men and women experienced confidence in the same way. But as I started to look around me, I noticed the women in my life, my wife, my daughters, the team that works with me, many of my patients, hesitating, like holding back and not really living up to their full potential. And so I just got fascinated with this idea of confidence and what it was that causes us to hold back sometimes. So Hewlett-Packard did a study, and the study shows that men will oftentimes apply for a job when they meet 60% of the job requirements. And women will wait until they meet 100%. And so at first I thought this was, more of a risk tolerance thing. But the more I dove into this study, the more I realized it was about confidence and the absence of confidence. And so the problem is that many of us have been taught this lie about confidence. We've been taught that confidence is a feeling, it's something that we feel. And so we wait around our entire lives and waiting to feel good enough, healthy enough, pretty enough, confident enough, all these things, and we wait. But confidence is not a feeling. Confidence is actually action. The action actually often precedes confidence, and it's not the other way around. Sometimes we feel like, okay, once I have confidence, then I can take action. But it doesn't work that way. Action comes first. When we start to take action, then that's when we actually start to feel confident. And so confidence is not the cause, it's the effect. The confidence is what comes when we believe in ourselves and we take action. And so I want to share with you today something that I call the confidence blueprint. So this is a way that all of us can practice and have more confidence in ourselves and in our lives. And there's 3 main steps to the confidence blueprint. And the first step is to change your language. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Let's talk about language for a minute. Language is the words that we say. It's also the words that we write down. But most of the time, it's the words that are going on inside of our heads. It's how we speak to ourselves. And so the reason that this is the most important step in the process and kind of the baseline of confidence is that, oftentimes the things that we say to ourselves in our minds, are things that we would never say to somebody else. Does everyone agree with that? Sometimes we're a lot harder on ourselves than we ever would be on anyone else. Why is that? I think it's human nature to come up with our own stories in our mind. And so mastering that inner voice is a really important part of being more confident. And it's something we can all practice. When you leave here today, the next time you're alone, the next time you hear those quiet whisperings in your head telling yourself that you're not enough, or always looking for the most negative things about yourself, like stop that and start to talk to yourself differently. But also, talk to those around you differently. So this idea of mastering your language is a really important part of being more confident and feeling more confident. So that inner voice, it doesn't become powerful because it's true. It just becomes powerful because it's repeated. So it's neuroscience, right? It's the things that often get repeated in our head. We feel like they're true, but it's really not. It's not our truth. And studies even show that the human mind is not able to differentiate between things that are actually happening in real life versus things that we tell ourselves in our mind. And so learning how to master those thoughts is a really important part of being more confident. And then, learning how to really eliminate limiting language from our vocabulary. Okay, so I call that non-powerful language. So I do this with my kids sometimes. If they say something that I don't feel is true or that's negative about themselves, I'll tell them, hey, that's not powerful. It's not powerful language. Powerful language is not just speaking good of others, but it's speaking good of ourselves also. One of the other things that happens as we're speaking to ourselves in our mind is that oftentimes we overlook the things that we're really good at. So everyone in this room has specific talents, things that you're good at, but oftentimes we overlook those things because they come easy to us, and so we assume that they're easy for us, so they must be easy for everybody else. But ease is not insignificance. Ease is evidence. So things that are easy for us, it's just proof and evidence that those are the things that we're actually really good at. So stop dismissing what comes naturally to you. Embrace it as really your unique ability. So that takes us to number 2. First, we're going to change our language, how we speak to ourselves. Secondly, we're going to eliminate or we're actually going to discover our unique abilities. So I want to go through a little exercise. This will make more sense as we do it together. I want everyone to stop and think for a minute about something that you are really good at. Something that's maybe comes easy for you, but it's difficult for most people. And the natural process that we go through is we start immediately going back to that negative language. We're like, oh, I'm not good at anything. But the reality is, no, we all each in this life, we all each have things that we're good at. We have these individual talents. The actual definition of confidence is a feeling of self-assurance arising from the appreciation of your own abilities or qualities. Okay, so confidence comes from recognizing the things that we're actually really good at. And so when you think of that thing that you are really good at, I want you to think about, what you could do differently in your life to do more of that. Because I think it's one thing to recognize what you're good at, but then to be able to go and use that is where we really start to serve other people. So instead of, that question of, am I good enough? I want you to change that and ask the question about, like, what am I really good at? Okay, the third step in having more confidence is to take action and serve other people. I find that the more that we serve others, the more we grow ourselves, right? And so if we can discover what those unique abilities are that we have and where, or what we've been called to do in this life to serve others, we've experienced it here today, that some people's calling is music, right? Some calling is the spoken word and poetry. They're using their talents to bless the lives of others. Now, why aren't we doing the same? Or if we are doing that ourselves, why don't we do more of that? Because I think when you are in your zone and you're doing the thing that you love, and then you're serving others with that thing, that's when the most growth happens. So confidence then really starts to shift when you take action. It does us no good to have these talents and never go and share them with others. When we take action, we start to share them with other people. That's when we start to feel more confident. I want to share a story about Alexa. So Alexa was somebody that had reached out to me, and she was an amazing artist, great photographer, young mother, with a new baby at home. But Alexa didn't see herself in that same way. Now, I saw those things when I first met her. That's what I noticed about her. But she saw herself differently. You know, she had been in a battle for 12 years with an eating disorder. And during that process, she had dissolved a lot of the backs of her teeth. And so when Alexa came to see me, all she saw every day when she looked in the mirror was a memory of the past. You know, 12 years of sadness, 12 years of not being able to beat this thing. Now she's at a time in her life where she's a new mother. She's happy, but every time she looks in the mirror, she just thinks of her past. And then one day, everything changed. You know, she had been communicating with me on social media for several months, and one day she reached out and said, "Hey, I'm tired of feeling like this about myself, and I'm ready to take action and do something different." And she said, "You know, I want to use what I've learned in this process, and I want to use it to bless other women and to help other women that are going through something similar." And so she decided to work with me, and yes, we made this amazing transformation physically, but most importantly, she transformed internally and really started to recognize her abilities. And now, you know, I look at her in her life now, and you know, she has more children. You know, she's got a great professional career, and she's happy. And none of that would have happened if she wouldn't have taken action and decided to change the way that she looks at the world. So you don't wake up confident. You know, that's one thing I want everybody to understand, is that it's not something that you just can say, "Hey, I'm gonna have more confidence," and then you just become more confident. You build it slowly over time, step by step, and you take action. I believe that you are enough exactly how you are. I believe that if we really want to build more confidence in ourselves personally, and if we want to have more confidence in our personal relationships, professional relationships, that first we change our language, start talking to ourselves differently. After that, then really lean into that unique ability. Discover what it is that you love and that you're really good at, and do more of that. If you're working at a job now and you're like, "I don't love what I do, I really want to be doing this," you know, look for ways to do more of what you love. As you do that, that's where confidence really grows. And then most importantly, take action and serve others around you. And I believe that if we can do that, that all of us will feel a little bit more confidence in our lives on a daily basis. Thank you.